this is a very easy to construct project, and my parrot, as you can hear, is helping me do the quilting, and comprises of one pinwheel block and one hourglass block, and both of those blocks are constructed out of half square triangles, and they're all the same size, so it's very easy to construct the center of this quilt. Now what you're going to need is you're going to need 2 packs of 10-inch squares. A layer cake can be used, or you can cut it from yardage. Then you'd need 25 9.5-inch squares out of an assortment of prints, and I got this like really gorgeous, beautiful layer cake, the most gorgeous, gorgeous florals, stripes, polka dots, bows. It's gorgeous, and I'm combining it with plain white layer cake that I've cut also into 9.5-inch squares, or alternatively you can cut strips of 9.5 inches and squares out of an assortment of your available scraps or whatever. And the first step is we're going to press our 50 squares that we need to make the biggest size for this quilt. Once the squares are pressed, we're now going to start sewing, and we're going to use the 4 at a time method to make our half square triangles. So we're going to place 1 square from the assorted prints pile and 1 plain light color square, and we're going to stitch at a quarter of a seam all the way around this square, and we're going to do the same thing to each of our pile of 25 squares. So we're going to end up with 25 pieces sewn all the way around. Once you've completed all your squares, now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner on both sides, and we're going to cut on that line with the rotary cutter. Going to cut from corner to corner. Use a disappearing pen. Actually don't have to mark it with a pen at all. Just don't move it. It's a natural reaction is to want to move it. It's nice to have one of those rotating cutting mats for doing this sort of thing. That works. You're not supposed to actually pull the rotary cutter towards you, but I'm a big girl. Okay, and now once we have the half square triangles, we're going to press to the dark side. Press your half square triangles to the dark side. When you press half square triangles, they are cut on the bars. There's a bars. So if you don't press backwards and forwards, you can go this way, across. But don't do this, okay, because you can stretch your fabric. Press up. There we go. Press to the dark side and don't stretch. Once you have all your half square triangles made, you need 100, and you've ironed them all. Press them all. Cut off the dog ears and de-thread them. Okay. And then the next step is to measure it. And make sure that you've got 6 inches square. If it's more or less, you want to trim down your square. To square up, one of the best ways to square up is to make a cardboard template. This is 6 by 6 inches. And then place it on the corner and the bottom, making sure that the point on the corner is on your corner seam. And then simply use your rotary cutter to trim away any excess. Because no matter how well you measure or how carefully you sew, there's always going to be a little bit of discrepancy, and it's best to start with correctly sized, evenly sized squares, and it makes your job a lot easier. Once you've trimmed all your half square triangles, you can either put them together in an organized or matching sets that the block is made out of all the same pieces, or you can do a scrappy combo. Just bear in mind that you want to, if you are going to do a scrappy combo, that you get a nice mix. Put your colors together and have a look and see how they match. You want to put all those points together. We missed one there. Just fix that. For instance, that looks pretty nice. Let's get something else here that looks nice. Say that would look nice. There we go. That looks nice. So you can do it either way. I'm going to make, I have done the first 2 blocks in matching, but I'm doing the rest of the quilt in a scrappy manner. Now we're going to sew them together, and we'll show you how to match the points to get a nice even shape. start laying out your blocks in a pleasing manner. As I said, either matching or scrappy, it's up to you. And what you need is you need 13 of the pinwheel blocks and 12 of the hourglass blocks to complete this quilt. And once you have it all laid out, you can, if you really don't have space, lay out one row at a time and then complete that row and go along. The next step is to block your quilt center to 55.5 inches for the queen size. And now we're going to add the borders. And what I've done is I've cut the 2.5 dark color borders, 2.5 inch dark color borders, and 3.5 light, 3.5 inch light color border to add to the quilt center. And now I'm going to piece them to the right size. So the top and the bottom, the first dark color pink border is going to be 55.5 inches, and then the side is going to be 55.5 plus 4.5, because this is going to be 2 when it's sewn in, and that would produce 4.5 for the top and bottom, where you haven't sewn the top and bottom in yet. And that will give us 59 inches, 59.5 for the side border panels for the first dark color. Once you have the dark inner border on, you're now going to cut the light outer borders, and the first light outer border will be the same size, because this is square, the same size as your side panel, your first side panel. So the first light border is going to be 59.5 inches. And then the second one will be 59 inches plus 6.5 inches. And that's your second inner border. What you want to do is, what happens when you sew it is your fabric moves at a different rate. The bottom may move differently because of the feed dogs. It might move at a different rate to the top piece of fabric. So what you want to do before you start, you can do a couple of stitches. Start by doing a couple of stitches. Needle in. Now measure your entire, you can also pin it, but it's not really necessary. Measure all the way along to the very end and stretch it out. Get your middle point, and now you can continue sewing, and you ensure that when you get to the end, there's still going to be some fabric to sew right to the very end. Once your borders are on, your next step is to press your quilt top, and to de-thread it, you want to get all the threads off, because nothing is worse than some threads showing through light colored fabric when you finished your entire quilting job.